What's the most like chronically online take you've ever seen on the internet?
She told y'all to read a book and y'all called her classist for weeks. Poor people can't read. Libraries don't exist. An ebook, Barnes and Noble. And I get there are certain circumstances where someone just might not have the time and accessibility to do these things, but I highly, highly doubt her point of that video was to berate those specific people. I'm pretty sure it was fairly apparent that her point of that video was that you should find value in yourself outside of your looks. Like, I thought that was like pretty obvious, and I get her delivery might not be for everyone. I personally find it hilarious, but if you watch that video and took away from it that she's classist, I just think you just need to go outside, have your own, log off the internet, have your own day of play, just log off for a minute.
I know you guys have heard this saying a lot, but I really do think we should touch grass a little bit more. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Today I wanted to chit chat a bit about brain rot. Usually when we say brain rot, we're talking about the content that Gen Alpha is watching and we're just like, oh my gosh, what are y'all doing? We're talking down on them. But brain rot content is for everybody. All right, so currently I'm reading Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I never actually had to read this book in school, and so I'm reading it now. But this book is the influence behind me even doing this video in the first place. It is all because of one character, Miss Mildred Montag. Girl, Mildred. Mildred is like a mirror. So Mildred is the wife to our main character, Guy Montag, and she is just the personification of someone who lives to be entertained. She doesn't care about anything that's going on in the actual world. She does not care about world problems. This lady is clueless as to what is going on outside of her own world. Her husband will sit down and try to talk to her, and she'll just be like, what are you blabbering about? Like, what are you talking about? She lacks empathy. She is definitely the type of person who's just like, yeah, that person deserved it. Yeah, that lady deserved to be set on fire. If you just go into Instagram Reels comment sections, you will see a whole bunch of Mildreds.
I need Mark Zuckerberg to understand that Instagram Reels will never be TikTok. And that's simply because everyone on Instagram just watches everyone, and it's like a cesspool of hate. Why did I post a get ready with me? And I also posted that same exact video on Instagram Reels. Now, both videos are going viral. Cool. On TikTok, I have probably gotten maybe 2 shitty comments. No mean comments, but 2 shitty comments, deleted them, kept moving forward. Cool. You go on Instagram, y'all, I've been blocking people left and right. My comment section has just been a weird cesspool of hate. And what's even funnier is I can understand like the women being catty because that's what women do. But the men, the amount of men that I have blocked for just being rude and nasty in my comment section, the comment section is literally a cesspool of hate, and it's nasty.
And if you don't think that we look or sound like Mildred sometimes, think again.
Before the internet addiction came, we used to spend time just sitting and talking for hours. But now the addiction is affecting our marriage in a very negative way. We don't really talk about anything.
Now, if social media could take my attention from another person, then there's something wrong with that person. Oh my God, the horse is stuck under the carriage.
One thing about a chronically online person is that they're going to tell on themselves every single time. Being chronically online makes us look absolutely insane. And the thing is, you don't realize that you're chronically online. You don't realize that you've fallen down into toxic ideologies until you're a little too far gone. But how do we get to this point of insanity? Let's talk about pipelines. Okay, so are all the internet pipeline investigators coming out of the closet? Because when I tell y'all, these pipelines are not a joke. I do my pipeline investigations on YouTube because I'm not fucking with my TikTok. Okay, this is my only safe place on the internet. But on YouTube, I will let the algorithm take me down a pipeline. It started with me just trying to figure out how to not look crusty. And so I started following a lot of black women who like taught you how to not look crusty. And then it turned into something else. Quickly turned to very conservative content, turned into hypnosis, basically different hypnosis videos talking about how to not be a masculine black woman. And then there's the submit videos. And then it takes you to the submit to the what man videos. So when I come on here and I report back to y'all, it's because I be doing investigations, okay? I'm a Virgo, okay? It's what we do in our free time. I'm worried about the youth, okay? This country trying to brainwash y'all into a very conservative mindset. You think it's some big conspiracy theory. No, the fuck it is not. So please, please, please be careful with what you consume. No one is saying you can't be soft, okay, baby? I'm trying to, be less angry myself. But really look into that media literacy, okay? Okay, bye.
So here's how I almost became right-wing as a black person. So as a Ghanaian born and raised person, falling down the all-right pipeline was not on my to-do list. But let me tell you how it was done. So the first thing is number one, alienation from mainstream black culture or politics. That was the first step into it. So many black people who fall into the all-right pipeline start by feeling disconnected from the mainstream black culture or politics. Maybe they grew up in an environment where they were called whitewashed for speaking properly or not conforming to certain stereotypes. Maybe they never truly felt accepted in predominantly black spaces, or even plain reduced to a stereotype in white spaces, which was the case for myself. The alienation can lead to resentment, making you susceptible to ideologies that validate your feelings of being an outsider. The all-right pipeline exploits you by offering an alternative identity, one where you're not black first, but rather an individual who thinks for themselves. This framing can be very seductive because it presents itself as empowering, but when in reality, it's just a tactic to isolate you from your own community. So the truth is, right, a lot of black people in these all-right spaces are not really seen as equals in these spaces. They just use to push a narrative, a kind of sort of like I've got a black friend sort of narrative. So number two was reaction to identity politics and victim narratives. A huge entry point to all-right pipeline is rejecting what you see as victim mentality in black political discourse. If you're tired of hearing about oppression, systemic racism, or reparations, it's easy to be drawn into spaces that claim success is purely individual and racism is overblown. So these communities don't actually want black people to succeed. They just want to weaponize your voice against other black people. Number three was gradual desensitization to racism and white nationalism. The all-right pipeline doesn't just start with racial slurs, calling people the N-word. That's not how it starts at all, okay? It begins with facts over feelings, those type of people, facts over feelings type of people, or IQ statistics or critiques of black culture. That's how it starts. You might hear things like, what about black on black crime? Maybe single motherhood is the real problem. That's to my Andrew Taylor right there, they're gonna end up being single mothers. That's all pushing you to the all-right pipeline, okay? So at first these seem like neutral observations. They might seem smart to someone whose brain is underdeveloped, but as you go deeper, the rhetoric escalates into outright white nationalism. You might start consuming content that suggests black people are biologically less intelligent, that segregation wasn't so bad as we're seeing that conversation right now, or that white people are the real victims of racism today. That's the funniest one. At some point, you'll be so deep in the ideology that you start justifying things you would never have before, okay? You might think you're just being logical, but in reality, you're just internalizing white supremacist talking points. If a movement regularly attracts open white nationalists, if its leaders have ties to hate groups, and if its core message revolves around diminishing black struggles, then maybe it's not about free thinking after all. So the fourth one is materialism and the worship of success. This might be a bit more relatable to some people, but just hear me out, okay? So being raised as a Christian, there was a massive push on Christian materialism, which is the idea that wealth and power are signs of God's favor. If you believe that success is a reflection of morality, then it's easy to start viewing rich, powerful white conservatives as deserving of their position, while struggling black communities are seen as lazy or spiritually deficient. This mindset can lead to glorifying capitalism and rejecting social programs. Examples like, if God blesses hard work, why should the government help the lazy? Blaming black people for systemic struggles. If they just followed Christian values, marriage, discipline, faith, they wouldn't be in poverty. Aligning with white conservatives who claim to represent Christian values, whilst actually pushing policies that harm the black communities. Donald Trump, him, yeah. If you're going down this path, Ask yourself, are you being embraced as an equal, or are you just a useful tool? The alt-right pipeline thrives on self-hating minorities who will parrot its views for validation. But at the end of the day, no matter how much you conform, you'll never be fully accepted in spaces that are just built on white supremacy, because you know why?
If we don't want to lose young women to alt-right indoctrination in the same way we lost young men, we need to be very careful, cognizant, and critical of trends that can lead to the alt-right pipeline. Because while these things aren't inherently conservative, or dare I say even fascist sometimes, they can be the starting point for a very slippery slope. So here are the top alt-right rabbit holes for women that I think we need to be cognizant of and educate around. Clean beauty and clean eating. While opting for more natural ingredients in your skincare and food seems fairly harmless, you can quickly slide down the slope to the alt-right by engaging in content around distrust in regulatory bodies, anti-vax rhetoric, conspiracies around big pharma, and next thing you know, you think you're making America healthy again. Trad wife content. While this starts off as romanticizing homemaking, this quickly can slide into a conversation about promoting very rigid gender norms, anti-feminism, and ideologies that contribute to Christian nationalism and white supremacy. Skinny talk and diet culture. While this starts as fitness routines and feeling your best, it's a slippery slope to assigning moral superiority to thinness, which then can slide pretty quickly into eugenics. Homesteading and homeschooling. And listen, I have a carrot tattoo, so while gardening, being closer to our food sources, and taking a hands-on role in your child's education is great, it can quickly lead to mistrust in institutions. Overall, a mistrust in public schooling, like public schooling isn't good enough, just lead to classism, racism. I feel this is extra important because of the attacks on the Department of Education right now. This problem is just gonna get worse. Last one. Soft life living and like feminine energy. While there's some important conversations here around rejecting hustle culture and rest, this quickly leads to ideas about women needing to submit to their husband, back to these really traditional gender roles. And before you get all mad at my comments, like I said, enjoying and engaging in these things aren't inherently like conservative or alt-right. I mean, some of them kind of are, but you know, we need to be cognizant of how these can open doorways to rabbit holes. And once the algorithm kind of attaches on to you, it's slowly going to feed you more and more intense and more extremist rhetoric and ideology. It is imperative we educate young women around this.
I'm just going to cut to the chase on this one. Pipelines encourage black and white thinking, us against them thinking, right versus wrong rhetoric with absolutely no nuance. Lacking nuance, lacking critical thinking skills, not thinking for yourself. Do we understand how scary that is? We do know that's like wild, right? Let's take a step back and talk about human cognition. As humans, of course, we're always processing information. We are just information processing machines. Because we're always observing, we're using these observations to build what is called a mental model. A mental model is a simplified representation of how something works. And this is what helps you make predictions about the world. For example, and by the way, I got this example from Louis Rosenberg. So for example, you're a baby. Okay, goo goo gaga. You're playing with the toy. You drop the toy. It falls on the ground. So this happens a couple of times. You're playing with the toy, you drop the toy, it falls on the ground. Now you have a mental model. You've just created this mental model. Okay, if I let go of my toy, it's gonna fall to the ground. One day, your dad buys you a helium balloon. You're holding the balloon, you let go, it doesn't fall to the ground. It goes up to the ceiling. You are mind blown. You are like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Now your mind is having to account for this rarity. This is causing you to adjust your mental model. Now your mental model is becoming a little bit more sophisticated, you know? Your mental model has a tie on it now. This is intelligence. For intelligence to work out, you have to perform 3 basic steps. So generalize your experiences, generate a mental model, and then perceive the world. Here's the bad part. When you are chronically online, when you have fallen down certain pipelines, this is distorting how you view the world because the algorithm is catering to you. Confirmation bias also plays a role in this because the algorithm is feeding us things that confirm what we already think about the world. Even if those things are untrue, feeding us the truth is not the name of the game. The job of the algorithm is to keep us on the platform for as long as possible. And so because social media is distorting the way that we see the world, it also distorts the way that we build mental models. It doesn't allow us to build accurate mental models of our world because essentially you're in an echo chamber of information that you already agree with. And because of this, there is an entry point for the algorithm to start feeding you more toxic ideologies. And the more you're feeding on this toxic ideologies, the more it's permeating up here. Have y'all seen Adolescence on Netflix? Please tell me you have. Listen. Listen, girl. This little boy fell down the red pill pipeline. The part that got me and perfectly encompasses how easy it is to fall down these rabbit holes is when the dad was like, oh yeah, I was just on the internet searching up fitness stuff, and then it started showing me a whole bunch of red pill guys talking about women and how they need to submit and like all of this stuff. That is how fast it happens. We're gonna play a game. Let's go down a pipeline real quick. You just went through a breakup. Okay, you are heartbroken. That boy did you dirty. We've all been there. I've been there. We have all been done dirty before. Anyways, you're heartbroken. You're on your For You page. You start seeing story times of other girls who have been done wrong. You're liking them. You might follow a few. Now you feel less alone. You're offering encouraging words to them. You're still scrolling. You're still scrolling. A few days later, now you're getting rhetoric of all men are dogs. They're all going to cheat on you. There's no such thing as a happy marriage. There's no such thing as a happy relationship. Now we're going to go into rhetoric of all men are cheaters anyways, so find you a rich one and use him for his money. Dog him out before he dogs you out. Use these guys before they use you. Now we're getting into manipulation tactics. This is how you're going to get a guy to love you. This is how you're going to get a guy to like you. This is how you're going to get a guy to spend all of his money on you. And now, out of left field, a happy couple comes across your For You page. And you find yourself in the comments like, girl, you better leave him before he leaves you. He's going to do you dirty. He's going to cheat on you.
I just called my husband and asked him if he wanted a breakfast sandwich because I was getting myself one. And last night I didn't cook. In fact, I don't think I've cooked all week. So I called him just now and I was like, hey, I'm getting myself a breakfast sandwich. Do you want one? He said, no, I don't want a breakfast sandwich. Thank you so much. And then he called me back and he was like, I want you to know that you're doing a really great job. And I know you have such a high-powered, like, high energy, busy type of career where you're not going to be able to cook all the time, but I want you to know it is not your job to feed me. I'm a grown man. I lived on my own before you. When it comes down to eating, if I'm starving, if I'm hungry, like, I can take care of it and I can take care of you. I want for every woman to experience what that feels like, to have such a supportive partner, a partner who has lived on their own, a partner who is independent, who is not bothered by your success, and who also knows how to help you manage your stress, even if it's just by not adding more stress onto it. That was the nicest thing ever. And honestly, the fact that he even said I was doing a good job as a wife, because I literally have not cooked all week, meant everything to me. Everything to me. Because I literally sometimes I'm like, who let me get married? Like, I'm just doing my best out here. And for him to say, your best is more than good enough, which he says all the time, by the way, was very kind. And I want that for all my girls.
I expected this comment from the men because they're incels, the ones in the comments who are acting up. But I'm really surprised to see you here, sis. That's crazy. Another black woman excitedly trying to root for the downfall of a black marriage. Wow. What a surprise to see you here. Listen, get yourself together. Get yourself together, okay? Stop hating yourself. Then come back, and then maybe we can do something else. I don't know. But for you to take a video like this and turn it into whatever you're trying to turn it into, you're weird. I don't know if anybody ever told you that before, but you're weird.
You do not know these people. But like, you see how easy it was to just change your worldview? How you view relationships? That was pretty fast, right? Now you're over here, you've adopted this untrue sentiment about relationships. Now you're holding yourself back from genuine, authentic relationships. It doesn't even have to be romantic at this point. Like, it could be anything. But now you're holding yourself back. You're hurting yourself and you're hurting other people because you're projecting this onto them. This is why truly healing and having a sense of discernment is so important.
I feel like all men cheat, and if you gonna cheat, just like don't let me find out about it, right? Like, in my head, I'm gonna think you're not cheating, while I know in the back of my mind I know you are. So like, just don't play in my face with it. Like, if you gonna cheat, go do it on the low, control the like, just don't let me find out. So my nigga was cheating on me, which I knew he was, but like I couldn't prove it, which was good. I was like, I can't prove it, oh well, right? So the girl that he was cheating on me with, I was in Miami and I had left like some clothes at his house. Probably like a week later, the posted a picture in my shirt. Dang. And I knew it was my shirt.
I didn't want to laugh, but why did the girl put her shirt on?
Every dude is gonna cheat. He has 120 million sperm cells. We have one egg. Dude. So from that, and there's their little testosterone and all of that other stuff going on, it does something to their brain cells and make them do unreliable shit. Yeah, like cheat. What you looking at, bruh?
So you think every man in their lifetime is going to cheat?
Oh, every man is going to cheat in their lifetime.
The thing is, there are a lot of hurt people with very distorted outlooks of the world making content for other hurt people with very distorted worldviews. Thing is, those people tend to be the loudest in the room. There are so many people with spewing toxic rhetoric who have huge followings. I bet y'all could name some. And from a content creator's perspective, because obviously I'm over here making content, people who spew highly polarizing talking points, they get heck of views. They get so many views, bro. If you say something that pulls out a very strong emotion out of people, that's gonna do numbers. And by strong emotion, I literally mean anger. That's why rage bait is so profitable. You could say the most outlandish thing and that thing will go viral. And you might have people in your comments pissed, but there's always going to be that subset of people that actually agree with you and start following you. No matter how toxic the thing is, just say whatever crazy thing you want and it's going to attract people who like that. At the end of the day, your attention is currency. You don't know if these people actually practice what they preach. People are spewing things that can be absolutely detrimental to your mental health. They could be going home talking to like their spouse or like their friends and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they fell for it. I can't believe they actually believe this. They could possibly not even believe what they're preaching, what they're selling you courses on, what they're selling books about. Again, your attention is currency. But hey, these people are super popular, and I feel like it's because of visibility bias. As humans, we typically have a preference for people who speak up first, speak the loudest in the room, and speak the most. We tend to see those people as more confident, more competent in what they're talking about, as well as really good leaders. We tend to see them as really good leaders. But let me tell you, if you work in corporate, you know that that is not always the deal. Any whoosies, with this video, I just want to say, be careful out here in these internet streets. Don't let these internet echo chambers get you messed up in your actual life. I know that things are super crazy right now, especially in the US of A. People are losing their jobs. People are at home a lot more with a lot more time to be on social media. And with the loss of jobs, usually depression is like at an all-time high. Anxiety is at an all-time high, and that can cause you to be scrolling aimlessly through your socials because you're looking for comfort, you're looking for community, you're looking for an escape from reality, because sometimes reality is really hard. But again, don't let these echo chambers get you messed up in your actual life. I'm not telling you to totally get off of TikTok or Instagram or not like enjoy social media, because there's a lot to be enjoyed on social media. However, please make sure that you have like a clear definition of who you are. And I know this sounds like duh, I know who I am, but please have a clear definition of what your core values are. Also, just get to know who you are like internally without social media telling you who you should be. Like, make it a point to be rock solid in what your core values are, who you are, before engaging so heavily with these communities online. But also, if you have someone in your life that is under the age of 25, specifically a teenager or a child, as y'all know, your frontal lobe is not fully developed until you're 25. Please inquire on what they're watching, who they're watching. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be too pushy. No, with the type of content that is being pushed to young children and teenagers, yeah, you need to be more involved. They're in that developmental stage where they are very malleable. They're still trying to figure out their actual core values, like what is important to them. Please instill beauty in them, not this filth that the world is trying to push onto them. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope you have a beautiful day, a beautiful night, whenever you're watching this. Bye.